come to you live. Coming to you live on YouTube Live again because I'm going to keep going at this until I figure some things out. I'm taking it that everybody's down at WrestleMania, and I'm just bored. I don't want to get to bed just yet. So I decided to get on here a little bit. And I wanted to talk about like how, you know, much easier that it should be to, you know, drop albums, rap albums and stuff nowadays. I can't. I don't think that a lot of people realize that. Like back, this is how I ran it down for years. The South from like 2001 up, the South kind of took over with hip hop, and then before that, it was always New York. It was always New York. I mean, there was Tupac, and then they had a couple like Tupac, Ice Cube. There was West Coast. Ice-T, guys like that. But just the way that people came up then, how harder it was to go out and get albums and get rap producers back then to take the music and take it out. People were selling tapes out of trunks, sleeping on subways and stuff like that. Got KRS One, another example of that, and just making hip hop what it was. Hip hop to me is not. Today, I don't know what this is today, these guys do. I think this today is just a, auto-tune / I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it this. I'm going to do that. Everybody go rat-tat-tat, bat-bat-bat-bat, or something like that nature. It wasn't it's not exactly, real music, a lot of it. It's not, none of this gets me hyped up. None of it. I mean, I can't see it that way. I feel like hip hop really passed on a lot of terms. There's still guys out there doing it, like Nas, Busta Rhymes. A couple, and a lot of them that passed away were real good. Tupac, DMX. DMX was something different, man. Tupac was something different. Biggie Smalls, he was different, but I don't think a lot of people like they put Biggie in this high ceiling, and he was good, but I feel like something was wrong there, and it wasn't just the Diddy thing either. But nowadays, I don't even I think that dance music, and techno music, and stuff like that is way, way, way better than anything that hip hop has to offer at this point. Because hip hop turned into trap music and stuff like that. It turned into all these different things that I just don't really understand too much anymore. I could go listen to these albums and I don't understand these albums, a lot of them. I don't get where they come from or what they do. It's crazy. It really is. It's really crazy how that works. So, it's a whole different world out there. Like, I just remember going out and just what I used to do. I used to go out with my friends and we would just make a mixtape and just let it go. And I was pretty good at it, I thought. And, I thought hip-hop was like a whole different world. And it was culture. It did, if you didn't speak... I honestly think that a real good hip-hop artist can relate to what the world is beckoned upon, and what it's really about. But a lot of these guys today, like I'm seeing them out there, like these guys with tattoos on their faces, and I live through the struggle and all this other stuff, and I'm like 90% of that's false. It's false narratives. They're not real things, because I watch like about 2 minutes of a video and I can't really comprehend the whole thing there, It's not something I really understand. Now, I give props to Cameron for having his podcast with Mace, but let's be realistic. I think Mace is a fraud. I think Mace has always been a fraud, and he's just only been skating by because he knows Cameron and he knows Diddy and all that stuff. I didn't think Mace was really that great. I don't. don't think he was ever really a good hip hop artist. When people put him in, I don't think Jay-Z is that great. I think Jay-Z just marketed himself very good, and that's why Jay-Z is who he is, I guess, in a lot of minds. To me, he wasn't even really relevant until like 97, 98. He really wasn't. I mean, I think he did stuff with Foxy Brown and the Firm, and, they were doing their thing with AZ back in the day, and Nas. But those days are gone. Like they're in them are coming back. People sleep on Foxy Brown. I think Foxy Brown was better than Jay-Z by a lot. I don't think she drops albums anymore. But to be realistic here, Foxy Brown could drop an album. Little Kim could drop an album better than Jay-Z. I mean, if anyone wants to go out and listen to an album by Little Kim, like a lot of her music was way better than Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a biter, man. He bites off people and he took things. To me, that doesn't show much adamant respect. It just shows that he's stayed in the game by cheating his way through it. And then he got so big that he could go out and market himself and make his own money on the side. And that's really what Jay-Z is. So when someone like Charlemagne says this blasphemy about how Jay-Z would beat Eminem in the verses, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. There's no way on God's green earth that he's beating Eminem in the verses. I think people need to forget that. Eminem might be dropping an album this year too, and you can just listen verse to verse. You could take Jay-Z's best album, which I don't even know which one it is. Maybe I would probably say In My Lifetime Volume 2, maybe it might have been that, versus Eminem's worst album, which none of them are bad. So I mean, a couple now. I don't know all the newer ones. I mean, the Marshall Mathers LP was right there, and Eminem he would wreck him, and Lil Wayne's good. He would compete with him, but I still think Eminem would win a little bit. I just don't think that's a relevant thing, and then the hate towards him is just it's unnecessary. But like I said before, Benzino and his hate, and Joe Budden, Cassidy, and Benzino, all three of them, you could put all of them on one album and a diss track against Eminem, and he'll still beat all three of them. That's how it would go. Same thing with Tupac. If Tupac got a chance to do a versus, what do you think he's gonna do? If he's alive, still doing it, or DMX, yeah. That's the only one. That's the only one that I agree with Charlemagne. That's the only one on the list that he said that I think that could have beat Eminem in the verses. He's the only one. DMX was just built different. That was a whole different situation, And then I go out and I hear Ja Rule and I hear Irv Gotti talking about how like 338 was better, 336 was better than Flesh of My Flesh, which that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life too. Not a real thing. I'd say you can sit out there and have a couple shots of tequila and talk about things that are not real, and maybe somebody out there might believe that, but I don't believe that. Saying that it's better. DMX was in a whole nother category, a whole other stratosphere. There's guys on different stratospheres, and there's guys that are rappers. DMX is on the stratosphere. He was with the Tupacs. He was with the Eminems. He was with the Nas's. Nas, I could put it in there. I'm not going to put Lil Wayne in there. Although he's good, he's not at that level. He's just not. It takes a certain person to be at that level. And I know people would disagree with me. And it is what it is. But this was the one I wanted to talk to tonight, but I just remember albums. I can tell you right now, my first CD that I ever got was in 1994. And it was Doggy Style. And that was when Snoop was at his highest peak. Snoop was on that stratosphere. But if you take all these other albums he's dropped recently, it brought him down a notch, I think. I know people are going to say that, but Snoop Dogg to me is so commercial. But you know what? He's got his money, and he's going to always make money on making money. You can't hate on the guy for that. Although I do have some suspect questions about that in Tupac. I think he skated on ice just like Diddy too in a lot of ways, but we won't talk about that too much. I still wouldn't remember when Tupac passed, supposedly in '96. That was a tough time. It was really I remember it was a rainy day. I remember seeing a newspaper. I was living in Newark, Delaware, Just remember Tupac has passed away 7 days after he'd been shot in Las Vegas, and that was a tough time. Biggie, a year later, he gotten shot too. He was just dead on announcement. He didn't get to the hospital. He was done. And that's sad that it happened that way. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of icons passed away, and that was like where I was really at with it. I remember those days. But, and then, you know what? After that, kind of, Busta Rhymes came out. Busta Rhymes was kind of like dropping an album or two, and he was pretty good. Busta Rhymes kind of kept hip hop going at the time when all that was going on. I think he was one of the few that kept the hip hop going, from like '97 on. Jay-Z kind of floated in there, but Jay-Z was, Busta Rhymes is another one on another stratosphere. And now we talk about it. Busta Rhymes was something different. He went out and took over the game, and he's been doing it for 30 plus years. Now he's got sons on albums, and he's even putting guys on that have no talent at all, and he's still rhyming with them just because he wants to be humble. He still makes good music, Busta Rhymes. But he's already proven I can bring people on that aren't even good at any level, really, and put them on a track. But with me on there, it makes the track look good. And, and he's great. And, I think this might be his last tour. But who knows? Maybe not. I still remember, that's another one, 1995. Got You All in Check, Woo-Ha. That was another album just out there. Really good stuff, and it was. Busta Rhymes, I never had a thing. I always thought he was on the stratosphere too. Method Man, Redman, they were on that stratosphere. But today, I don't know much about this hip hop, man. I couldn't put it. I can tell you right now, I don't. And they'll always say about that Meek Mill dude, who I think he's a super fraud. They think Meek Mill, to me, he's the most fraudulent one in the whole game right now, as far as and I'm going to always say that forever and ever and ever now. He really is. I mean, Drake is a clown, but he's a fraud. And I could tell you right now, you're not going to put a CD out list of or an iTunes chart of 13 songs and tell me that they were all good. I can't say that about many albums in this era. I don't think I could name one. I don't think I would ever actually go out and buy anything. Even on iTunes, looking at it, you can listen to something and it's not what it is. It's not the same. It's not where it was. And that's really where we are at with it, But that's my whole take. Another one, Bone Thugs and Harmony as a group, probably the best group to ever do it, really. I think they were up there, and people don't realize. People don't realize they took their harmony and they took the thug and they put it together and made it into something great. And people slept on Bone Thugs and Harmony, but for years, Bone Thugs from like 1994, even to today, you don't find talent like that. I think Busy Bone said it best in one of his things. He's like, hey, we made music that's at this level, and it's hard to get to that point when you're in the same area. Kid Cudi, this guy Kid Cudi's pretty good. He mixes it up, that Kid Cudi guy. I give him a lot of respect, Kid Cudi. I don't really know about that guy too much, but listen to a little bit of it. It's not bad. He's fair. So like that's kind of like where I was hip hop, and like I could go on hip hop for hours and hours on this thing. Believe me, I could talk to you about it. I got guys like Gucci Mane saying I'm the GOAT. I'm like, I've never even heard one track that you've ever dropped, so I don't know how you could be a GOAT if that's... Maybe you're a GOAT in your own mind, but you're not. You're not that. You'd get wrecked in the 90s. You would be a little poster boy in the corner, dude. I mean, it ain't really nothing against him, but, when you say you're the GOAT on a live TV, you're just making a fool of yourself. Just stop yourself and stop the embarrassment of yourself by doing that, because you're not. You're not even that stratosphere. You're not at the average level. And that's really what it is, but that's how it was. And I in those days, I enjoyed those days of hip hop where I knew that things like that were going down, and it was a whole other world, I'm guessing like 2007, 2008, hip hop changed. That's probably about the time, the period that hip hop just doesn't. It does nothing. You just hear stuff about like Meek Mill the Clown and all that. Oh, also another shout out to Freeway, and Beanie Siegel, because they dropped good music too. They're not in the stratosphere, but they're right next to it. I mean, they're very good too. And Freeway, let me tell you something. I watched some of his stuff on IG. Freeway is a very giving person, and he's probably the most humble person in the game. He never changes how he is. He does the same thing, and he realizes that he's been up against a lot of struggles, and he survived it, and he's done very well. And I watch, and I respect Philly Freeway for that. He's definitely one of the best. You know, um, although he's not as back. He was a 2003-ish, 2002-ish up to now. But he wrote y'all some music. Unfortunately, did it with Rockefeller Records, but hey, you know, it ain't his fault. He had to get his name out there. Can't blame the man. But that's really what it is. So that's really what I was going to discuss on here. I know people haven't watched my lives yet. They haven't really been able to deduce what my lives are about. But this is one of them where I bring out and I talk about hip hop and names that I've dropped right now that are very, very humble names that I feel like hip hop redefined it. I mean, you could bring, and really, I mean, honestly, here's another couple you could do. You could actually take it back to the late 80s, mid 80s, and you can put that Big Daddy Kane, African Bombada, Grandmaster Flash Furious 5, Run DMC, who honestly is right next to Bone Thugs as far as like bands. Onyx, early 90s, another one right there. They're probably right cracking at the stratosphere, because you know what, Onyx is another one, like with Sun C and Sticky Fingers and I forget his name. I forget his name. I just seen it. I just seen his name. I just saw an interview for like an hour and a half. I don't remember his name now. But maybe somebody get on here and they'll comment and get at that point. But yeah, that's really what the whole world of hip hop was. And it was good. I would buy CDs. You get them for $12 to $13 a piece. 13 tracks. It's a double CD. It's probably like $20. Best CDs I ever bought. All Eyes on Me. One of the other ones, Life After Death. The Art of War. That was a double CD by Bone Thugs and Harmony. There was like $20. But that's what hip hop was. That's why you can always drop back and listen to music like that. Now today, I don't know what you can listen to today. To be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, I should start doing my own thing and dropping stuff on like here and stuff, because my music's probably would be better than half of the stuff that's out today. It really would, because a lot of this is just mumble rapping and it doesn't even make sense, and it's like, I've been through the struggle, but I'm all the way to the top. I'm like, you really haven't. You haven't been anywhere. Until you could prove that you're at that level, you really don't have that. But if you have the drive to get it, and you can do it and make it sound good, then yeah, I can respect it, and it relates to what it is. Yeah, those are the things that kind of define what a hip-hop artist does, in my opinion. But I've been on here almost 20 minutes, and I know I keep burping. I always got this bad acid reflux, but I would say that much as far as the whole thing. That's where you're looking at with that. So anyway, I guess I'm going to get off. I'm getting a little tired now. I've been on 20 minutes, but this is the X-Man's review of how hip-hop was, and then I'll get some more ideas. I'll be coming on by tomorrow night to just reiterate what's going on and how it's going, and then we'll do it. Eventually I'm going to bring people on and try to talk like that to get some more views, and people hopefully will start watching these videos and jumping in with comments. We're going to try to keep it to an algorithm to try to do this the correct way. So anyway, I'm going to get off. Hopefully everybody has a good night. I'll catch everybody on the flip side. Don't forget Wu-Tang. Oh yeah, Wu-Tang Clan for life.